Hi, welcome to Arch Section Ins and Outs. My name is Jim Liebenstein. I'm the Sales and Service Trainer here at Instrumentarium Dental and Sordex. And today I'm going to be talking about the Arch Section tab within your InVivo software. A little bit of a refresher. I want to just point out that you can make cross sections of basically anything, and that we can use this to visualize structures better and to set up conditions that are favorable for doing cross-sectional views may be helpful in helping you trace a nerve. I'm not going to really talk about tracing a nerve today. We'll leave that for a different session. But we are going to talk about how to use this Arch Section tab to your best advantage. You know, the normal setup for this is this axial view on top, the panoramic view just below that, and 3 cross-sectional views across the right-hand side. The axial view right now is showing you a couple of spline points and a curved line. And the whole point of this is that we are able to move these points to represent any space that we want to. We can move these spline points and define a completely new line. You can see this line follows a pretty weird pattern right now, but the whole point of this is that this view is showing you exactly what's going on here. This line, as it curves through space, this plane is perfectly parallel to that. And as I leave my cursor in that particular pane and start scrolling my wheel mouse, you can see the amber line now starting to track out. That amber line is perfectly parallel to that curved line in space that I've provided. Now, right now it looks like something maybe Picasso's dentist would be seeing, but the point is that that amber line that's tracking, buccolingual if you will, is showing on this panoramic screen here. We can also see that there are 3 green lines here, and those 3 green lines are representations of the views that we see here, this cross-sectional views. And you need to know that these 3 lines always track perfectly parallel to this curved line, no matter how it moves through space here. So as I track forward and back, again with my wheel mouse, you can see that those 3 lines curve to be perfectly perpendicular to that amber line, wherever it is. Yeah, the radiology on this is easy because the green line is always showing you the view over here that has the crosshairs in it. All right? These crosshairs are always showing you, the red line is showing you the height of the axial view. The little amber line is showing you the position of our panoramic view. Right? The green line is showing you where the cross sections are. But if I move my little green line, you can see that position jumps as we track those cross-sectional views. Right, this is kind of confusing seeing this curved line here, so let's go ahead and set a new line up. We can do that by turning off our Create Arch Spline icon here. And if we depress it again, it's going to say, do you want to create a new spline for the focal trough? Sure, we'll go ahead and do that. So as we start clicking points now, we are going to start defining a new plane for us. And we can choose some points that follow the dental arch here. You don't have to, but after all, probably one of the reasons that I'm doing this is to be able to trace my nerve. When I get to the end, when I've clicked the last little point, I just right-click, and that will establish our new spline. All right, so now our spline points are identified by all of the little points that I've put out here in space. I've drawn a new curved line through space. And this is showing me as I track basically buccolingual here through my 3-dimensional space. Now, if I want this to look a little bit more like a panoramic X-ray, I can go ahead and click, give it some depth. And now it looks a little bit more like a pan. Before, this is one slice thick. And as I move forward and back, we're going to see structure starting to emerge and disappear. This is, at this point, one element of volume thick, and for our purposes right now it's about 1/4 millimeter. I can make these slices a little bit thicker just by changing the depth of them in my cross-sectional views here. Right now they're 1 voxel thick, and maybe that doesn't help me visualize things. If we want, we can make those thicker by choosing the thickness here. You see it looks a little bit more like a film image. If you're having difficulty seeing what's going on in these cross-sectional views, is because we've got really a lot of space showing here. We're going from above the sinus to just about the bottom of the mandible here. We can constrain this so that this gives us a true cross-section that we want to see. I'm going to go ahead and click on this little box that says Adjust Range and Orientation. And that brings up a view here that allows me to set the bottom of my cross-sectional information and the top of it. I can constrain this down to just the dentition here, or if we want to really go for it, just zone in on our mandible by itself. We can also change the tilt and change the position from side to side so that we don't have to continually jiggle stuff around here. As I uncheck that box now, I can also push down my control key and click and drag to make things bigger and smaller. Remember that from the basics. Or shift to move things in space here. And also do it with that adjustment screen that I just had up. All right, now you see that we're in our mandible, and maybe my arch spline points don't really make as much sense as they did before. And I can just go ahead and drag those right into place so that they make a little bit more sense for the curve space that I've got up. I can also make my cross-sectional views a little bit wider just by pulling the little spline points down here over. So now we've got a pretty good working view here. We turn on our Spline Ruler. The Spline Ruler really helps us when we're trying to identify cross-sectional views. You can see that it puts the dimension for that particular cross-section. You say, well, Jim, that doesn't make much sense because I can see pretty easily what's going on here. But yeah, what if we're going to print this out for a referring dentist, and we're going to change our layout here so that we've got a lot more information. Now, it's helpful to have those dimensions showing us exactly what we're looking at. All right, so this is the printout mode. It constrains everything that you've got on screen into 8.5 by 11 so that we can have this printed. You can see that each one of these cross-sectional views has a scale for width and height. All of the dimensions are there so that we can scale out and make this proportional when we're taking a look at our 8.5 by 11 printout. You get a meaningful scale from it. If the ruler is bugging you or distracting you, go ahead and turn it off. All right, so that gives us a working view of 9 cross-sectional views, and these happen to be spaced 1 millimeter apart. Change the spacing so that we cover a little bit more real estate. And again, these dimensions will tell you exactly where they came from based on our ruler that we can overlay on top of this. You know, arch section uses some measurement tools that we've used before. The area measurement, the polygon measurement, the angle measurement, and the distance measurement. And although it's not my purpose to cover the measuring tools here, we can just briefly mention them. distance measurement needs no calibration. As you click and drag and click again to identify a point, we are 1 to 1. This is accurate to within 1/10 of a millimeter and good for distance measurements. If we need to change the endpoint on that, all you need to do is click anywhere on the dimension, one of the endpoints or the measurement itself, and we can edit it and pull that to a new place. When it's red, meaning that it's editable, we can also go ahead and hit the delete key and get rid of it. Another measuring tool is the angle measurement. You can click one endpoint, a vertex, and another endpoint. And it gives you the dimension from the vertex to each endpoint. It also gives you the included angle here. Again, all we need to do is click one element of it, turn it red, and it can be either edited or deleted. The area measurement tool allows us to make multiple points. Just go ahead and click where you want to measure. Clicking points, and when you're through and you get close to the other end, we just double click or right click, and it'll close those gaps and give you the total area measurement of the included area. If we want to change this, again, edit it. All we have to do is click on anything to turn it red, and we can click and drag points as you see fit. And again, if it's red, you can delete it. The polygon measurement allows us to make outside dimensions. All we need to do is click the points that we want to measure and right click to finish it, and it will give you the total distance following those lines. You can see the difference when we take a look at our panoramic image down here. Right now, again, it's 1 voxel thick, so it doesn't have any dimension to it. This is what we need to use for tracing a nerve. You can see the nerve canal emerging as I scroll my wheel mouse forward and back. And this is what we would use to go ahead and trace the nerve. Right now, my cross-section is pretty much lined up at the entry of the foramen. All right, we can start tracing the nerve. Again, I'm not going to really go over the nerve tracing too much here, but let's just show you how it works. We've got a emerging canal here. We can find out where it comes down here. Any place that you can see the canal clearly is fair game for tracing. All I'm doing is finding the center of that tube and working my way back. When we're done, just click on done. Right now, as we scroll back, you can see where that canal is marked out for us. It's one of the primary reasons for having our arch section here. Get cross-sectional information that helps us in guiding a treatment plan or diagnosis. If we want this to look a little bit more like a real panoramic, then we can go ahead and click on X-ray. We can turn on or off the ruler here as you see fit. You can see that by turning X-ray, we get a pretty substantial amount of depth that wasn't there when it was 1 box thick. You know, all the tabs have brightness and contrast controls, and you know, every aspect of your working with InVivo, you need to not be satisfied with what you're looking at that particular time. Always be playing with brightness and contrast. Always be messing with the controls. There's no miraculous setting that's going to give you the right thing at any given time. It's always what you're looking at right now that's important. So always be manipulating brightness and contrast controls to get the conditions that allow you to visualize what you need to see at that point in time. As we take a look at the different elements here, we can change the brightness and contrast for the slice, and we can also change it for the X-ray. color presets simply toggles you through a couple of preset color combinations here to help make stuff pop up on the screen and help it visualize it better. If you go around enough times, you get back to the gray shades that you used to see. When we take a look at our cursors and the guides that we're using to visualize and help us keep track of the lay of the land here from a radiology standpoint, we can turn on and off those things so they're not a distraction. And also turn on and off the identification for the image, the clinic, and the Anatomage logo by pressing the information screen on and off. Just like in the other tabs, we've got some ways of calling or enunciating messages here. We can click and drag arrows to illustrate points. We can make a circle by clicking the center and pulling out the radius. Again, when we look at how Anatomage has handled the creation of measurements and illustrative points like this, it's kind of counterintuitive to folks that have been working with Microsoft or Adobe products for a while. You don't make a line by clicking, holding, and dragging. You make a line by establishing 2 points at a time. So, endpoint, click, move the mouse, click again, and it's complete. And once again, all these things, as soon as you highlight it, you can edit it by clicking and delete. Art section is an incredibly important tool for creating these curved views of space. It's pretty easy to see what's going on when you've got a nice big view like this. This comes to us from our Scanora 3D unit. Let's close on out of here and see what a view from a different scanner looks like. I'm going to open up a small field of view from, this one happens to be from Ortholytics. I'm sorry, the OP 300. Okay, so art section doesn't look like much. When we take a look at this view, again, we can adjust the range to perfectly illustrate what we're looking at here. Click on a little bit in space and take a look at this included information here. Uncheck that, and now we can pull our spline points here. Go right over that. And we can follow the contour of the bone. Just a little bit wider. Now this follows kind of the line axis there. As we track through. Our cross-sectional views are perfectly, again, these cross-sectional views are perfectly perpendicular to this. We need to add or subtract spline points. We can go through and modify spline routine up here, uncheck this, and modify this. I hope this has been helpful. and having a look at this. Are there any questions that you might have about the art section and how it fits in? Okay, I appreciate your attendance, and our next session is going to be tracing an error, where we take a look at this, take it to the next level by tracing an error. We're going to take a look at reviewing the process of tracing an error, and we're going to take a look at a couple of helpful hints on maximizing the visualization of the nerve canal as we're tracing it in the art section. And that's going to take place on July the 24th. So thank you very much for your interest. Thank you for your attendance, and we'll see you next time.